So I think everything has been covered very comprehensively by my friends here, right from essay to GS to optionals. So I think all the strategies and gyan has been given. So what I would like to give you is hope. So I would like to tell you about my own experience, which is very different from all others. So basically, I studied at BITS Pilani from 2008 to 2013, a 5-year integrated program, B Electronics and Instrumentation and MSc Economics, and passed with a low CG. So after that, effectively, my chances of studying at IIM A and B were closed. So many people take up civil services, as a challenge and to do something for a society. But for me, this was the only good career option that was left. So I was good at programming, so I joined a software engineering company in Bangalore. Then after 5-6 months, I thought this is not for me. I got bored there also. So in January 2014, I quit my job and I started looking for options, and I thought civil services is a good thing. I went back home to Ranchi for 2 months, came back to Delhi in April 2014 and took a house and all. So effectively, I started studying in June 2014 last year for mains exam, which was say 6-7 months away. So basically, this is to tell you that if you got scared by all this talk of how much to study on, and I'm sure there'll be online audience, because I myself, being a selected candidate, got a bit scared. So there are a lot of people who qualify. I was discussing this with Ajay sir also, that all sort of people come into the services. So you need not worry. There are shortcuts for everything. The problem with shortcuts is it may not work for everyone. However, if there are people who want to appear this year, I would like to tell them that there is enough time, there are enough material and books here and guidance available. So you can do it this year itself. So firstly, the choice of optional is very important. I hope that everyone has taken optional that suits their interest, because you never know how long you'll have to study that optional, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. Okay, so you need to be interested in the optional, firstly. Then essay was covered very beautifully by Aditya, I think. So essay is a very important paper, because you have to, if you have little time, you have to see your input-output ratio. How do I put this? So there are things like science and tech, where you can study for months and months and there'll be no questions. Or you can prepare for essay, like he did. Essay 3 hours of paper can give you 50 additional marks, whereas topics like science and tech will give you only 5. So you have to maximize your marks. So essay will help you, ethics will help you, interview will help you. The basic thing is that you need to know your strengths and weaknesses, and everyone knows that, or everyone should know that about himself. So capitalize on your strengths. I personally felt that I'll do well in essay or GS2, GS4, not so much in optionals, because I didn't have enough time. I started optional in July 2014, the July batch here, and in the end I got good marks. I do not have exceptional marks anywhere, but I have good marks in every paper, from essay to all 4 GS to interview, everything. So you need to identify your strengths and work on your strengths and cover your weakness somehow. The pattern for UPSC has changed, and I think writing skill is very important now. So people asked about English language and all. Not English, but if you have a good command over literature in any subject, most of you will take English medium exam only. So it will help you a lot, I guess. So you should try practicing for your writing skills. The basic funda is that you need to know something about everything. Cover all of the syllabus, do not leave anything out. You should have at least 1, 2, 3 points ready for all the topics, so that when there is a question, there's very little time there and there's a lot of pressure. You are writing mains, there'll be approximately 7 minutes or something for each answer. So you may not be able to recollect the details of everything. So if you have 1 or 2 points ready, then just spin around it, write the answer, weave an answer around those points. So, and attempt all the whole question paper. There'll be 25 or 20 questions like this type. So do not leave anything out, write something everywhere, every single mark counts in the end. Yeah, so regarding newspapers, so a lot of people ask questions about newspapers. So again, strategy is something that differs from person to person. Everyone has their own strategy, and something might work for someone, may not work for someone else. Like I used to read only the Hindu newspaper, only one newspaper for an hour or so, because I believe that if a news is important enough, all newspapers will cover it anyway. So people make notes out of that. I used to live with a guy, Shantanu. He got 89 rank. We were flatmates. He read 3 newspapers. So everyone has their own style. But if you read one newspaper diligently, follow it, not memorize it, but if you link it well, if you remember the flow, because there'll be some topic, news about which will keep coming in the paper. So if you have the timeline in mind, or how these things link up and how you can use that in an answer, so that is more important. People do all sorts of things for newspapers. Some cut articles physically from the paper, some save it, some use Evernote and all. So do whatever works for you. And you need to make your answer stand out in GS or anywhere. So there can be a lot of things people do. Some people quote stats, figures extensively. I was very poor at remembering numbers. So I used to write examples for everything. You should write legibly, clearly. Now we have fixed space answer sheet. So I think you get 2 pages for every question. So just try to fill it with relevant information. Structure your answer well, write 1 or 2 lines of introduction, write points. In the end, write your own conclusion, your own opinion after analyzing the question well. Because now the questions are very analytical in nature, that want to check your thought process. They are not interested in facts and all, which can be, obtained at any time. So if you analyze the questions from 3-4 points of views, so I think you'll get good marks. A problem here is people tend to read too much. So when you go to the market to buy one Yojana, you'll see 4 other books that you'll think, okay, this is important, this is interesting, and you end up collecting so many books that you may not be able to read in the end. So keep the syllabus in front of you, stick to the syllabus, read only as much as you can remember. Read the entire syllabus, but read in have breadth and not so much of depth, especially in the GS paper, because GS is a very generalist paper. So have the entire breadth and depth only as much as you can retain it, because there's no point in being a scholar in any field here, because your aim ultimately is to obtain marks. And remember, this is an exam, and treat it like an exam. Like you must have passed through so many exams till now. This is an exam where you have to get marks. So read it in a way that you get marks in the end. Knowledge and all. Okay, so what else? Okay, someone had asked about ethics case study. So again, every answer will differ from person to person and his writing style. But one sample ethics case study I can, a structure I can give you is that there will be a question on case study. So firstly, you can write what is the central ethical dilemma in the problem. So first identify the ethical dilemma, that so and so has happened, so this person will be confused if he should do this or that. This is the central dilemma of the problem. Then you can mention 3 or 4 possible solutions, possible actions that a person can take, and evaluate each of the action. So pros and cons of each action, write 2 points in each, and in the end finally write what you would have done or what you would suggest to the person. So in ethics paper 2, in case study, there is something that people call administrative ethics. A pragmatic approach is required. So basically, as an officer, you have to deal with a lot of problems which have their own constraints. So you need to get things done, but you cannot compromise on certain basic things. Say like you cannot go against constitutional principles or resort to something that is illegal or something that is blatantly immoral or unethical, right? So you have to suggest an answer that gets the thing done, that solves the problem without compromising on few basic issues. What else is there? Interview has been taken care of. Test series is very important. It's much more important than coaching, because test series is mostly for self-assessment. I used to appear in test series here in Vision IS, and it helped me a lot, because more than the marks and the evaluation that they give you, test series will, it makes you do self-assessment, because the first time you'll write a test, maybe I wrote only 15 answers out of 25, but with time I started to learn how I can write an answer without knowing concrete facts, or how I can attempt 25 questions in the 3 hours, which is very important. And the first time I was able to attempt all the questions was in the real mains exam. So before that, I started with 15, 16, 17, up to 20 questions I was able to attempt here. So as someone said that during exam, your performance increases. So there I was able to complete all the 25 questions. Take test series very seriously, diligently. Is there anything else left? Ajay, someone asked about optional. So despite having MSc in economics, even Ananya has it, we took up political science. It is a purely personal choice. You should take whatever you feel interests you and what can fetch you marks. All optionals are scoring, and all optionals get you poor marks. Tell us about basic time strategy spent for different topics during exams. So I presume this is about preparation for exams. So again, this comes down to the fact, to the fund of strengths and weaknesses, because you'll know that you need lesser time in some topics and more time in some others. Like I felt that I have a knack for polity and all, so I did not have to study that much for it. I felt more confident, but I was underconfident in things like environment and science and tech or all. So it is up to you. You have to finish the syllabus anyhow, and you should divide your time accordingly. I don't think someone can tell you about that. How to make notes? For newspaper notes, I told you already, there are these awesome softwares that are available. Feedly is very good, Evernote is very good. So you can, a very good way is that you can read the newspaper and summarize some article that you think is important in your own words. Because if you write it in your own words, do not write a very long article, because that will take a lot of time. Write 5 lines only, but when you write it yourself, and if you revise it later on, so the entire memory will be recollected then. So that is a good way. And because some topics keep on, the thread goes on, so someday there'll be news on that. After another 2 weeks, maybe there'll be some more addition, newer thing will come up. So you can add in that document itself that you can continue that document. So that is a good way for note making. Otherwise, again, it is up to you. Evernote is a very good way if you are comfortable with online stuff. Do you have any questions? If I can answer, otherwise I will circulate among them.